There's no barbecue without coleslaw, it goes without saying. And there's nothing like a super creamy and fresh coleslaw. And I'm going to show you how to make this at home. You can use both red or white cabbage for this recipe, but make sure you wash it thoroughly and cut off the stem. Then cut your cabbage in half so that it's easier to slice. It might take a bit of effort. Grab each half of your cabbage and cut the stem at the end. It might be a bit finicky, but you will get there with the sharp knife. Cut this into another half if you wish, I did that myself. And now you can proceed to slice the cabbage. You can cut your cabbage in either thin or thick slices. The thickness is important here as this will determine how soft your coleslaw will be. Thick slices has more texture, but thin slices releases more water and is more soft. Which is actually not a bad thing if you're going for something like a slaw that you serve with pulled pork, which is the kind of coleslaw that I personally like. The same principle applies to grating your carrot. You can use the fine side of your box grater, which will mean of course finer slices, but then it will also mean more water, or thicker grating and it will mean less water but more of a texture. It is a good idea to do a bit of mix and match, so I am using both the fine side and the thick side of the box grater. You tend to have quite a bit of build-up within the inside of the box grater, so make sure to grab that. Finally, I'm adding onions to my coleslaw. You can either slice it or dice it very fine, which is what I'm doing here. Once you have diced all your vegetables, you can now make the sauce. So this will be a few tablespoons of mayonnaise, some black pepper, a teaspoon of vinegar, and a quarter of a teaspoon of mustard. Start with these measurements and then you can play around, add more flavor to it if you want. It's a very versatile base for the coleslaw sauce. Add all your ingredients into a bowl and then you are going to add the sauce. One thing to remember is that the coleslaw will get more wet and will release more water as it's resting. So add a bit of sauce first, and it may not look as creamy as you had initially imagined, but this will become very creamy as it is resting. Once you have thoroughly mixed all your vegetables with the sauce, you will see a buildup of water as the coleslaw is resting after 24 hours. So we're going to let that rest and we'll look at it for 24 hours later. And as you can see now, as I remove the lid and grab some of the coleslaw within the bowl, you will see that it is shiny, which is basically all the water and the sauce that has been released and that's stuck to the coleslaw, making it a little bit soggy, which is exactly what you want, and it's giving that sort of glistening effect, which is the buildup of the water because of the releasing of the juices and the water overnight. This is why I recommend to let the coleslaw rest for 24 hours, to let all the liquids release from the coleslaw so that you get the texture that you're after. As you can see, there is a build-up of that sauce at the bottom, which is amazing. Now place up the coleslaw next to anything. I'm going for burger and enjoy. This was my recipe for homemade coleslaw.